I was glad Art Chase was in charge of the weather today. Great job, Art. But beautiful day, an incredible crowd. I think you saw what our spring practice has been, continued momentum. And I felt like that was a big part of the day. Same thing with our team. It's interesting. Our team, day one, the spring never looked like day one. And you think for a minute, what I was pleased about is that we divided our team in half. And you saw kind of what you wanted to see from the standpoint of defensive plays made by both blue and white teams. There were offensive plays made by both blue and white teams. There were a few guys that were held out that didn't play. We lost a guard, Lucas Patrick, early on. We'll see what that brings. I don't know quite yet. But we still were able to put solid football. Were there things I would tell you that we'd want to correct? Absolutely. I'd want to see a little bit more consistency offensively in the passing game than what we got. Outside of that, we don't have any big critiques. And so, but again, starting with the positives, I think it's a great indication to see what we saw as far as a lot of good play from both white and blue offenses and white and blue defenses. And we got a lot of people playing a lot of snaps. So with that, I'll take any questions.
What was your thoughts on Thomas Sirk?
Thomas was put in the toughest situation probably of the three quarterbacks. And, I went over and visited with him more in the second half than I did the first half. It was what he needed. It's been a long time since he played accountable football. There were errors in certain circumstances. And then I thought in the second half when he was getting a little coaching, and I should say a little because it came from me, but he was getting a little coaching. I thought he tried to respond. Started getting the ball out of his hand a little better, not holding the ball, not taking some critical sacks. But you saw Thomas run the football well. He made some nice throws. He got better as the game went on, which is what you would expect from a guy that hadn't played a lot of football in a while.
How comforting is your overall quarterback situation going into the season?
Well, I think we got talent that you see. I mean, you certainly know and have seen in game situations what Anthony and Brandon can do, and now we see that Thomas made some progress. Jonathan Lloyd played very little. It's all new to him, but you see the skill, athleticism that he's got. And we'll just hopefully, and I'm always afraid of those questions, but as soon as you think you got enough, something happens. But, I think the theme has to be there. We're looking for consistency at the position. And if we get the consistency at the position that we need, I think we're headed in the right direction.
I know because of graduation losses, the defensive line and looking for some new playmakers. They've got Desmond and Kyler had a sack there too. So how do you feel about that?
Well, you see Kyler Brown won the award, or shared the award on most improved defensive player with Chris Holmes, and both of them showed up today. And position changes. I told Kyler the other day, I said, I really think we found Jordan. I think certainly he's going to have an impact there. Jordan is finally getting well. He looked like Jordan today. It's been a while. Desmond Johnson's showing up. Carlos Ray's showing up. Mike Ramsey's a little banged up with an ankle, but he played every snap of the white defense. So, there were a lot. A.J. Wolf played, I think, most every snap. Britton Greer's back in the circle. So, we're starting to see some progress there where graduation doesn't just kill you. It's going to be hard to replace veterans. But you hopefully with some more veterans and some young talent that we're headed in the right direction there.
Coach, speaking of that, what are you going to miss most about Kenny, and how do you want your defensive ends and linebackers to help fill that role?
Kenny Ananiki had a maturity for obvious reasons. He'd been around here a while, but he had a presence about him, a physical presence about him that brought and he backed it up. The last 2 years he was here, he was a dominant guy as far as sacks and making tackles for losses and big plays. And so as you look at stops defensively, they generally nowadays, it's hard to stop anybody or slow them down even. They come from big plays. So what you have to do to replace a guy like Kenny Anunike, who gave you a lot of big plays, is that our linebackers, our defensive end, our people, our interior people, we got to have guys, more people step up and make big plays. And we want to see us probably more share that role than one guy maybe dominate.
Talking to the players, there was no concern whatsoever that from this point on there will be any complacency with good football.
I certainly can't imagine when you're in our situation that there's anything to be complacent about. Our key right now is that we look back, the last game we played, we lost. I told them the other day, I want you to think about it from this standpoint. A lot of great things happening, but the last game we played, we lost in the fourth quarter. That's not acceptable. And if you don't like the results you're getting, then you got to change what you're doing. So I've never been afraid of change. I've always believed that every day, not every year, we got to find a way to get better. And I hope our team displays that in everything we're doing, whether they're on the practice field now or whether we're headed to the weight room or their summer work where they're encouraging each other and spending a lot of time out here working on their own.
What's your biggest positional concern right now?
You've got to go to both lines. We got to be as physical as we were a year ago. We got to be able to take a game over if needed in the offensive line. We ran the ball some when we had to a year ago. Defensively, I mentioned those plays and those stops. A lot of it was associated with the guys like Kenny and Sidney and Justin Fox and some others. But I think the physical part of our team has to display itself and then continue to build depth and consistent play. But we've got some quarterbacks. We've got some people who can run football and run and catch it. And you saw both secondaries played pretty well today. So, and then the other part is just depth at linebacker. It's still always going to be somewhat of an issue. It's brought up the other day in the press conference. I think Al brought it up, just kind of bring on the young players there that we're going to replace. We're losing 3 seniors that are going to play a lot off this coming team.
What's your thoughts on Cutsboro?
Well, I met some of those young people, and I went out there yesterday and took them a football. I figured if they were going to do that, they deserved an official Duke football. So I did carry that out there to them. I told them the other night, and I hadn't even heard about it. Somebody mentioned it in an interview. And I said, well, it sounds kind of appropriate. We got one of them as a veal. That sounds pretty high, falutin. And one of them's a burro. And I said, that's probably pretty appropriately named. And I said, maybe even the burro should be underground right now. So I don't know.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all.